And I think we got our stuff ready to go here, Gilbert. Welcome back to everybody who was on the earlier live stream. This is House of Horns. We've had some technical difficulties, but we're back. We're going to answer your questions. We already have a couple comments here from Manuel Correa, so we'll get to that. We were talking about what the Rams might do offensively, defensively. But Gilbert, just let's get into what we had planned on here. So why don't you do you want to get to the newsletter, or do you just want to get into uh, news and notes?
Yeah, just get into it because we've been wasting people's time. But I'm gonna
Yes.
blame the YouTube channel because maybe they just want the Rams to draft all defensive players. Because the second we started talking about the offense, the YouTube channel said no, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I was actually looking at their. If you, by the way, if you see the other version of the Rams offensive needs, check out the first 10 minutes. Good conversation for the first 10 minutes. We'll
Yes.
decide later, Victor, we should delete it or not. But
Yeah.
2.0 should be better. We'll talk about the draft needs and actually looking at the thumbnail for this one, it's not too bad actually. But yeah,
Yeah.
I am ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, let's get into it then, Gilbert. Let me go through news and notes real quick. I just want to make sure that people know what's been going on. I'm sure everybody knows what's been going on with the Rams the last couple of weeks, but Kobe Turner sung the national anthem, Gilbert. This is his second time now. He did it at the Kings game in January. Now he did it at the Lakers game the other day. So that was pretty cool to see. Let me just give you a little snippet of what he sounds like, because there's a reason why uh, he is called the conductor. And yeah, like I thought I was really impressed with how he did. So here we go. Let's see. Well, what do you think, Gilbert? How's that singing voice?
Not too bad. It's pretty good, and to do it at a Laker game, that's actually a big honor and a big deal. So shout out to Kobe Turner for doing that. And I'm guessing it's probably like what 18,000 people watching. So that's a little
Yeah.
nerve wracking, and he did it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. The other thing, we didn't mention it last week, but the betting odds for the over under on the season were released, and Vegas has the Rams at 8.5 wins. Gilbert, what do you think? Like, is that
Mm,
right? 8.5 wins for the Rams.
I don't hate how they went so safe in the middle. I guess does that sound right? Come on, either pick they're gonna be bad or really good, but I don't know. I will give them a little more, maybe not after what they did last year. Maybe a little more respect, 9 or 10. I'm still like it's also hard because how do you do win total when people haven't done the draft too? So I guess 8.5 seems about right because we're waiting for the draft, and then some teams tend to drop off. That's why I want to see what they do in the draft. So I would have said 9.5 for what they did last year, but I guess 8.5 is not too bad.
Yeah, and I kind of like it. I was kind of surprised the Chargers were 9.5 and the Rams were
Really?
8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. But if I'm a betting man, I if I'm looking at that 8.5, I'm betting the over right now before it goes up. Like you don't know what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
in the next couple of months. So if you can find 8.5, I go bet the over just because I'm guaranteed I know the Rams will win at least 9 games next season. Whether they make the playoffs, we'll see how the season goes. But 9 wins seems pretty doable if you're asking me. The next thing, Gilbert, that we have here for news and notes is the Rams made Tre'Davious White signing official. So they announced it. It sounds he put out a post that about how excited he is to get into the community and work with the be a part of the Rams community. So that was pretty cool to see. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this signing goes. It's a 1 year deal. It's a prove it deal. He's only played in 8 games the last 2 seasons, so it'll be interesting to see what they get out of uh, Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, I was surprised that they took so long to get him signed under contract. Maybe it's the physical took a while. I mean, I don't want to speculate, but it's a good bargain or at least a gamble. It's like a buy low, kind of thing. And I guess maybe I shouldn't say low when it's $10 million, but a lot of cornerbacks of his caliber, when healthy, they make about 15 million to $18 million. So, in that sense, it's a bargain, but it's also a gamble for the Rams that he can't stay healthy. So it's a 1 year deal. We'll see what happens. But again, like we keep talking about, without Aaron Donald, you're not gonna get that consistent push. So you better have a good secondary. So I like what they did with Tre'Davious White. And it's a gamble, but it could pay off. And if he does play well, like a Pro Bowler for 10 million, not bad for a cornerback.
Yeah, and it could be worth, like I said, it could be worth up to $10 million, with incentives and all that. So, one thing that I found out about today, Gilbert, and I don't know if you saw this, but according to Mike Garofolo of the NFL Network, Rams really wanted to trade for Sam Howell, the Commanders
Mm.
quarterback, before, and apparently they were beat out by the Seahawks, who gave them a better deal for him. Um, before they signed Jimmy G to be their backup. Any thoughts on that? I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised by that.
Well, if you want Sam Howell as a backup, he's a really good backup. Like, if I'm asked to do backup rankings again, I'll probably rank him top five. Like he knows how to bring back a team. He knows how to play, from behind, but that's not a good thing because he was behind often. I mean, yeah, often with the
Yeah,
Commanders. But if you need him for like a couple games to give you 300 yards, he could do that. I mean, he give you a couple
yeah,
picks. He might take some bad sacks, but a lot. I think the best backup quarterbacks are the ones that can get hot in a hurry out of nowhere. But you gotta sit them before it all falls apart. That's why they're backups. They have some highs and some lows. But there's
yeah.
some backups that just give you nothing. And I'm like, how are they one of the top 64 quarterbacks in the NFL? I don't get it. So the ones that get hot, like Sam Howell, I definitely would like to take a flyer on. So the Seahawks beat the Rams to it. And I get why Sean McVay was into him, but he kind of reminds me of Baker Mayfield a little bit.
Yeah, and he would have been a good project for Sean McVay to kind of work with. So I can also see why. And the thing that kind of stood out to me from the report as well was that he led the league in most completions. Like he threw the most passes last year. So I mean, because as you said, they were usually down early, so he had to throw the ball. So I mean that also goes into it as well. And then lastly, Gilbert, our compa safety Quentin Lake participated in a 3-day broadcasting boot camp with the NFL media. He's tweeted, "The media is no joke." And one of the things that was really impressive about the interview that we did at Super Bowl Radio Row with Quentin Lake was you could tell that he really wants to, if it once the NFL is done for him, he wants to get into the broadcasting thing, and that's good for him to get into it right away.
Yeah, I was impressed when we sat down with him, and very insightful responses. Speaks very well and clearly, and I don't, when I say, like, I want to say he takes his time, but I'm not saying he takes a long time, but it's very detailed answers, and that's what you want to learn when you hear from people in the broadcast booth. And for Quentin like to do it in his second year, like it's pretty early. He's thinking about it pretty early in his career. That could be a smart thing because it's not easy to do. I heard stories from people who do a lot of TV media who work with or former NFL players, and they've mentioned that it's a hard transition for NFL players to do it. So the earlier you do it, the better, and it could maybe work out for Quinn Lake in a few years.
Yeah, and you start seeing it, you start seeing it in every sport. You see guys who really enjoy it. Like we've seen Draymond Green, he's been really good at it. He works with TNT. You see other guys already doing it. And one of the things that was really impressive, and I know it's a little thing, but I thought it was really impressive of him when we sat down with him, is he's already got the when he's speaking to he'll look it like it was both of us. So he would look at me and then he would look at you, and like you that is a little thing, but he already had that, and to me that was kind of impressive because we had other people there, and that was one of the things that kind of bugged me. I'm like, you should already be media trained, and for you not to be doing those kind of things, I think it goes a long way. But that's really cool of him because it shows like after our interview, I was really impressed with that, and to see that's why I wanted to bring it up because I'm like, yep, he's a natural. he should get into broadcasting.
Yeah, if he earns a starting job this year and he plays well as a starting safety, I would not be surprised if in a year or two he becomes a captain with the Rams or whatever team he's playing on, because he knows how to talk to people and gain respect and gain attention. So usually the ones that go into broadcast have been a team captain as NFL players.
Yeah, and we'll see if, and that's why I don't think people don't expect to hear a lot from Aaron Donald, because you didn't see him doing many interviews. I think
Yeah.
he got them all out of the way in the last 2 weeks. He was on the Green Light podcast, and this has been the most. Like, it's funny. Like, once he retired, we saw the most we'll ever see of him, and then now he's just gonna enjoy retirement. It seems like, but we'll see. I mean, I was even surprised he did the interview with, I think it was his wife, right? That was his wife who did the interview.
Yeah,
The
the
first,
initial one where he announced, yeah, or he announced the retirement on social, and then he had a video with his wife. Yeah.
yeah. So there you go. All right, Gilbert, it's time to uh promote the newsletter. I wrote something on there. I was going to get into it until we had our technical difficulties, but go ahead and let the people know. I mean, we have a lot of good things on there. I wrote something on the Rams and Aaron Donald that people should go and check out.
Yeah, definitely check out compasonthebeat.com and go to the tab blog, and you're going to see the stories that Victor is referring to. He wrote about Aaron Donald not too long ago. But, when you get to compasonthebeat.com on the home screen, a gold shiny box is going to appear. Just type in your email to subscribe to the Compas on the Beat newsletter. So there will inform you everything going on with the network, on the main channel, House of Horns, What's Up Bulls, Combat Compas, everything that we're doing on the network, but also, be locked in, because Victor and myself will talk Rams in the newsletter, on the blog. So it's still kind of a work in progress on the website, but get in early, help us out, grow the network, grow the newsletter, grow the website, and hopefully by the time football season rolls around, we'll be ready to go fully for the website. But right now, we're already cranking out a bunch of stories and blogs and newsletters. We've been doing the newsletter for about a month, and so a good amount of people from House of Horns have joined. So please keep it up.
Yeah, and I'm gonna continue to write weekly on the Rams. There's always something to write about, so we'll see what I come up with for next week. There's always something to talk about with the Rams. Maybe it'll be on what this show is, what we originally came here to talk about, and that's the Rams draft needs on offense. We had some questions on that we talked about, Gilbert, but I kind of want to get into the engagement question, and that has to do. I'll let you go ahead and lead us off here with the uh with the engagement question for people to chime in.
Yeah, for offense, it's interesting because when we talked about defense last week, you could go with maybe cornerback not as much because they signed some players. Obviously, edge rusher is one of them. Defensive tackle is one of them. So there's some good pressing needs there. But the Rams are very good on offense, and I guess if you're going to go somewhere to prioritize as an obvious need, it will be probably offensive tackle. So that is the engagement question of the week. What should be the top draft priority on offense for the Rams? The obvious answer is tackle, but what if they want to start thinking about the future for quarterback? And a lot of these draft experts keep putting in a quarterback for their mock drafts for the Rams at number 19. The way that Matthew Stafford played last year, I think he could wait for a quarterback, maybe third round. I think second or first is too high for me, but that could be an option. What if a top wide receiver falls to them, and you're thinking, well, we got to prepare for life after Cooper Cup. Maybe a third wide receiver to go with Puka and Cooper. That could be an option. Maybe tight end. I know they got a couple new faces at tight end in the off season, but maybe there's one you like. Maybe a Brock Bowers falls to number 19. So a lot of different ways it could go. Obviously, they can't go too high on running back, but they're okay with Kyron Williams. They do need a backup, so that could be something you look at the end of the draft. But besides interior offensive line, there's possibilities to get other upgrades there. So obviously they're set an interior offensive line with Steve Avila, Kevin Dotson, and Jonah Jackson. But we keep talking about left tackle, Victor. What if they start thinking about the future for Rob Havenstein for right tackle? So that's two tackle spots they got to worry about. So let us know in the comments if you're probably watching the replay because of our issues earlier. Definitely check out the video on the replay and comment with your priority for draft needs on offense.
Yeah, and I think you're right. You're spot on. It has to start with left tackle, but we'll get into it. We'll and then that's part of what I like about the draft process with teams, especially with the Rams, is we'll get into it. Is do you prioritize need or do you prioritize best player available? My thing, I've always wanted best player available, but every team does it differently. And one of the things about the Rams is they've kind of been when they've had first round picks under less need, they're kind of like in the middle. You've had hits and you've also had misses there. So where Les Need has done really well is in the middle rounds. And I think, part of the nice thing about this season or this off season is that they have over 10 picks. They have those extra compensatory picks that they can work with. So it'll be interesting to see if they like somebody, whether they trade up, whether they trade back for more picks. I like where the Rams are at right now at the 19th spot because they can be as creative as they want because they have those compensatory picks. But I don't want to make the people wait this time
Yeah.
because we've already gone through we went through the technical difficulties. So we're gonna do the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway keywords. We're at 926 subscribers already, Gilbert. I mean, shout out to Ram fans who have, hit the subscribe button. It's been awesome to see, but we want to reward people. So I'm gonna give away now the keyword here, Gilbert, and I'll let you go ahead and let the people know and tell them how you know, uh, they can enter this contest. And they're already a lot of them are already,
Yeah.
signed up.
Yeah, we're getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, and if you're on the live chat, I know there's a couple people still hanging around with us. Thank you for the patience on that. But if you're watching the replay of the video, also comment. The keywords are Rams Draft House, so do it in the live chat or in the replay comment section. So just type in Rams Draft House, and you will be entered to the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. I got to tally all these comments and make sure that everybody has the proper entries for the giveaway because we're getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, and hopefully we get there soon. Hopefully by either the draft time or the end of the draft, we get to 1,000 subscribers here on the channel.
Yeah, and then if you want an extra entry, you can go ahead and email Gilbert at Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com, and then just put in when we put the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway keywords, and then send Rams Strap House, and then you'll be entered with an extra entry on there. We had at least 3 or 4 people check in with us last week and put in those keywords. So as the more you do it, the more opportunities you have to get that Puka Nakua jersey, especially as we get closer and closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark, Gilbert.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know we've been doing this for a few months, so people have gotten the hang of the rules here, and I've gotten some emails. So definitely get that double entry there for the jersey.
All right, Gilbert. Let's get to the prior. We get why we're here, Gilbert. So we talked about the defense last week, and that's where most of their precision needs are. But they're still gonna draft some guys on offense, and so as we kind of started talking about, where if you're the Rams, are you going by best player available at 19, or are you taking a position of need, especially on offense? Where do you go if you're there sitting at 19, Gilbert?
Well, that's a tricky question because if it's best player available, what if a quarterback falls? Sometimes that happens. Are you going to take a quarterback? So and I get this might be a need there. You see what the Packers did with Jordan Love. You've seen what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. It's never a bad idea to plan early for the quarterback spot. So, all right, let's say Michael Penix Jr. is there at number 19. I don't know if he's a 19 best prospect in this draft, so maybe that's not a good example. I doubt that McCarthy's going to fall because people want him in the top 5. That's what all the rumors are, right? Top 10. So, you know, if you put that aside, if you kind of just ignore the quarterback position, I like the best player available approach. And, I know some people are saying, maybe they don't need a wide receiver because they got Puka Nakua. But, what if Roma Dunzia somehow falls from top 10 to 19? I don't see it. Or what if he's somewhere available in the top 15, like you mentioned, and Leslie trades up to get an Dunzia? So I like that approach, and that's a mystery right there. It's like we haven't seen Leslie with a first round pick in a long time. Like,
Yeah.
like how are you gonna do? Are you gonna use that to trade back down, trade out? Are you gonna use it to trade up? Like, who knows with that? So, I do like the best available player approach, and but I think there's so many good tackles in this draft, and the more I think about it, I think they need a left tackle. I don't think Alaric Jackson is gonna do it. They gave it a try with Joe Noteboom. Jackson's been fine, but he's not gonna be the guy for the future. And then it's time to start thinking about right tackle too. Rob Havenstein's been doing this for a long time, so you don't want to get in a spot where you have two needs at tackle, left and right. Those are very important positions. So for me, I like best available player, but you might be in a good spot with the tackles there for number 19.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and we'll get into some of the draft needs on offense. But, for me, and I talked about it, I would, I there's a little bit of steam going on right now in terms it's picking up steam in terms of Brock Bowers perhaps being there. And we've seen Les Need. He loves his Georgia players. There's a reason why he drafted Stenson Bennett in the fourth round. And you'll have your choice there if it happens, if the board works your way, and you have a Brock Bowers there, you have a Mims as your left tackle as well that you can draft there. So it'll be interesting to see which of those two guys, and like I said, does McVay get in there and say, hey, give me Brock Bowers? Like if he's there, does he say, you know what, give me Brock Bowers because I would love to have him. I mean, we've seen what they have with Davis Allen. We know what they had. We don't know when Tyler Higbee's going to be back, and they sign, the blocking tight end from Seattle as well. What do they do there if Brock Bowers is there? Do they pass up on him? Is the other question. And like you mentioned, what if one of those top three receivers drops to them, like, or drops? We saw it with, people say, "Oh, it's not going to happen." We saw it with CD Lamb. CD Lamb fell to like number 17 to the Cowboys. You just never know. So if one of those blue chip guys that falls to you, then you need to go and get them, especially if it's like in number 15 or number 17, somewhere in that range. I would think Les Need pulls the trigger, but we'll see. I mean, it's enticing, just kind of like if one of those guys falls to you.
Yeah, no, the Brock Bowers, situation is interesting because, obviously, Sean McVay loves 11 personnel, and people talk about Brock Bowers like a wide receiver, like he's not just a slot guy. You could put him on the outside, so that's versatile. You have another weapon, and the more you could do, the thing with Brock Bowers is like he's not known for blocking, but he
Yeah.
knows tight end position. So I like people when people describe 11 personnel for Sean McVay, it's kind of like the best thing they say is like it's kind of like playing tight end, right? A little bit of everything. You're gonna block,
Yep.
you're gonna maybe play in the backfield sometimes. Obviously, be a wide receiver, playing the slot, playing the outside. So he could do that. Brock Bowers. He's not the best blocker, but maybe with time he can learn that. But like they have Kobe Parkinson. They have they still have Tyler Higbee. They got if Hunter Long still on the roster, I forget, but they have a lot of guys
Yeah.
to help out in case it goes poorly with the blocking. I don't think so. I think that guy's a stud. So in terms of 11 personnel as being versatile, doing a little bit of everything, Brock Bowers is actually very enticing. And think about the future of Puka Nakua and Brock Bowers. And we don't know how much years Cooper Cup has left, but he still has plenty left in the tank for at least one or two more years. So from that point, that's very intriguing. And imagine Matthew Stafford with a very reliable tight end like that. But the thing is, like, if they don't have a Brock Bowers that he falls, they're fine with Higbee. They're fine with the guy from Seattle. They
Yep.
kind of cover their bases there a little bit. But you know, pass catchers is not really a priority. But like you mentioned, best available player is never a bad thing to do.
Yeah, and imagine putting him on a jet sweep there. I mean,
Yeah.
he was doing that at Georgia, so that's another thing. And guys, Manuel Correa, we have James Wheelock, Delbert Sargado. We'll get to all your comments. I'm not forgetting about you guys. We'll go through your comments. We just want to get through. We've already fell behind because of the technical difficulties, but we'll get to every one of your comments. So don't just hang in there. We appreciate you guys sticking with us through our difficult technical difficulties. But yeah, Gilbert, I mean, it's interesting just to see what they might do there. So um let's get to some of those offensive weapons that they might draft? Like, what are some needs do you I mean, you talked about it. It probably just left tackle at this point, and then I don't think you need anything else in terms of offense. But there is, as you talked about, there is guys that could fall if it's a quarterback like a Michael Penix Jr. He has a great arm. I've seen him be mocked either in the first or even in the second round, or them trading up. I saw I'm forgetting his name. The Adam Kaplan, who we met at Super Bowl Radio Row. He has them trading up in the second round to get
Mm,
Michael Penix Jr.
wow.
So there's quarterbacks, and then in the middle rounds, maybe get another running back. We've talked about getting another running back, and we have a question, so I don't want to give that away. It has to do with potentially getting a kick returner now that it's a position that you're gonna need to fill. So I want to save that question for later. But go ahead and just kind of give us some names too. I already gave you Michael Penix Jr., but what are some other names that you're kind of looking at or positions for the
Yeah.
Rams?
Yeah. I don't I think at this point I'll be shocked if Michael Penix Jr. stays and like falls out of the first round. I think he's gonna go in the first round. It could be to the Raiders, it could be to the Broncos. There's just a lot of quarterback needy teams, like quarterback needy teams that actually need it, not like the Rams we're thinking about for the future. So I think in that point, like I I think maybe Bo Nix might be better, like for them from the second round. But like when you talk about like going up in the second round for Bo Nix, like it's like again, it's not really a pressing need. Like you're really gonna give away some draft capital to move up to get a Bo Nix. Like if you really like the guy, I guess go ahead and do it. But to me, I don't get why all of these mock draft experts are mocking quarterback at least first, second round to the Rams. It's not a bad thing, but did nobody watch how good Matthew Stafford was last year? Like there's a reason they're really building the trenches. Like obviously it helps the
Right.
running game for
Yep.
Kyron. I get that. There's a whole philosophy shift. You want to run the football with the gap scheme there, but they protected Matthew Stafford. And I know he has some injuries. I know he's not young. He's what 35 years old, but he could definitely give you 2 to 3 more years the way he played last year. So to me, I think it's maybe a little overblown. I would not be surprised because this team they need defensive talent. I know we're focusing on offense right now, but they need defensive talent. So I
Yeah.
think that might go first and second round. I don't know about like say you're sitting there in the second round, you haven't traded up, it's your original pick, and Bo Nix is there. Okay, fine. Go ahead and pull the trigger. Maybe you got the edge rusher you wanted in the first round. Maybe you got the offensive tackle you wanted in the first round. But maybe the only one I would do it for, outside the big four, outside of JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. Obviously it could be Michael Penix Jr. He showed me enough in Washington. He also has injury issues, which is kind of a little concerning. Has he reached his ceiling as a fifth year guy? Or there might be 6 year. I forget. I think he was in Indiana, went to Washington.
Hmm.
So things like that is like, I think when you get aggressive, it's the ones that you bet on upsides. It's the young guys who haven't put it together, but they have all the tools. Think about Jordan Love. Like he was a
Yeah.
little raw, but he had all the tools. Patrick Mahomes, even like a Josh Allen. So that's who I will go up and get aggressive for, not the fifth, 6 year senior who like took him a while to get going and might have maxed out. So that's to me, that's where I kind of feel on the quarterback. So I don't get all this talk about for the Rams taking a quarterback. They need talent on defense. They need a tackle. But I get that's not never a bad thing to think about the future for quarterback, especially at that position.
Yeah, I'll start using some of the questions here, and then Manuel Correa
Mm,
says
yeah,
Spencer Rattler, and then Joaquin Quijada says uh, Spencer Rattler is a good later round prospect.
yeah.
Thoughts? Yeah,
That's where I feel better about that. Like Spencer Rattler might be your third round pick, might be fourth, fifth round. Like if you get a quarterback in the maybe in the last day of the draft, like I'm okay with that. I get they went with Stetson Bennett a year ago, you know, for that fourth round pick, but he always felt like a backup plan, like a backup who could play right away because he's 27, 26. I forget it. I forget what he was, but this year it feels like they want somebody who has starter potential. I don't think they ever saw that in Stetson Bennett. At least
yeah,
I didn't really get that vibe. It's more like, hey, they haven't got a backup quarterback. You could play the role, right? You won 2 national championships. You could fill in right away. He didn't do it. But I think they would need somebody who has some kind of potential, like a Brock Purdy, where again you could be a starter and make it work. So Spencer Rattler had potential to be a. Remember, like a couple years ago, he had potential to be a first round pick, second round pick. They just didn't work out for him. Maybe again, the QB whisperer or the QB guy who wants to fix everybody, Sean McVay, could do it, but it might be in the third round, fourth round, fifth round, and that's when you do it. I feel like.
Yeah, and I mean he had all the potential. I mean he got beat out by Williams at
Hmm.
Oklahoma, so he transferred to South Carolina, and he was a starter there for a couple years. And there's another there one of the receivers at South Carolina. He's in the draft as well. So I mean it'll be interesting. And even Delbert Salgado says Devin Leary, the QB, I think would be good in the late rounds. I mean, one of my philosophies too, Gilbert. Since I joined, the Compas on the B network, and I've told you that I really like the philosophy from the Patriots where they draft a quarterback every other year because you never know. You can develop one, especially now that they're making you have they might allow you to have three quarterbacks for an emergency. You can develop them. You can, one of the things that the Patriots used to do was they would come up with an injury, and so you would sit out a whole year, so that way you had a time to develop that quarterback. And we've seen it. I mean, we've seen a bunch of quarterbacks. I mean, Hoyer, Jimmy G. I mean, the list goes on. That's why you draft one in the later rounds. You take a chance on them, and then you see. I mean, and it allows you to have them on a rookie deal. Even in the third or fourth round, even if you get 4 years out of them, at least it allows you to develop them, and then that way you can see whether you keep those run
Well, isn't
those
that the problem, Victor? Like, if you want the rookie deal, it doesn't help when they're playing behind Matthew Stafford. Like, we don't. Again, we don't. Maybe it could be a 1 year thing, and they were kind of
right.
like they want to wait for the contract to run out.
True.
Maybe it's two, maybe it's three, but then by then it's kind of like with the Justin Fields dilemma. Like, you're trying to trade for Justin Fields, but then they're like, well, we don't want him anymore because the rookie deal is pretty much expired.
Yep.
It's kind of like the Jordan Love. They were like, well, he's sat for 3 years, but now you got to make a decision to pay him. They worked out a funky thing where they gave him a 1 year extension. It kind of worked out for both parties. So that was a very unique experience. But it's kind of like you're giving that up because you have a guy, unless you really feel like Stafford has 1 year left and you do it. But that if they really trade up in the first round or second round, and you want to have that rookie contract, time start going off or not waste too much of the time, that puts a lot of pressure on Stafford too. So if they do get somebody in the first round, that's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's just for me, I know, and you make a great point there, but I always think about like the Jordan Loves, the guy you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers, the guys that, you sit behind and they learn. And I always like that, especially with someone like Matthew Stafford. But like I said, there is no right way of doing this. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing things and they're successful at it. If you're the Rams, do you really want to be looking for a quarterback like the rest of the league in 2 years? Like it's
Yeah.
rare. It's rare that you get what you're seeing from the Packers, where you go from Favre, Rodgers to now Love. I mean, that's that's just crazy
The
luck.
best example I could give you is like the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. Like, it wasn't the first round, it was the second round. They were still unsure about Carson Wentz, and
Yeah,
Carson Wentz stinks, and then they got Jalen Hurts ready to
yeah,
go. Like, that could be something there. Like, second round, third round, like I get it because those are the guys that have potential to give you some starting experience. But then you get to the fourth round, fifth round, now it's kind of like, are these guys gonna make it? But I get it. Everybody wants a Brock Purdy, right?
yep. All right, let's get to these comments. Let's go through this. Manuel Correa is back here. Let me go through from the top to bottom here. Rams don't value O line like other teams, preferring to catch up players, going wide receiver first
I don't
pick. So
know.
he's
This year kind of changed, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, but he says going wide receiver with the first pick. What do you think about
Mm.
that, Gilbert?
Yes, Manuel, like I think they changed their philosophy a little bit when they paid Kevin Dotson and Jonah Jackson, but maybe the draft thing is still a little, maybe same for them. But they also got Steve Allen in the second round, which was technically their first pick last year. So I think there's some shift there with the old lineman. So I will put more stock in maybe a tackle in the first round, but it would be very intriguing if they get a wide receiver to fall. But like, you know, I think a lot of people like Brian Thomas Jr., the number two at LSU behind Malik Neighbors, like they're saying he has a lot of upside as a downfield threat, and number 19 seems right for him. So maybe you could be really enticed with a Brian Thomas Jr. and you take him, you know. maybe you go get that tackle in the second round. Like if you want to wait for a tackle, one might fall in the second round. Same thing wide receiver too. You could wait for one in the second round. So, you know, maybe when Manuel's out on something here where like it could be tackle and wide receiver going in some kind of combination in the first, second round. I don't know who goes first for position groups, but wide receiver, I don't want to totally rule it out. But when they had Puka Nacua last year, it gave them more flexibility.
Yeah, and there's so much wide receiver. I mean, it's such a deep draft. I talked about it. I mean, it looks like every kid now is playing wide receiver or cornerback in high school because I mean, I can go down and I can tell you there's a worthy kid who ran that
Oh yeah,
fastest 40 at there's the kid Keon Coleman from Florida State, big guy, kind of reminds people of what's his name from Seattle, the big guy. I
oh
can't believe
DK.
him. Yeah, DK Metcalf. You know, he just needs to work on his route running, but he's a huge dude. There's so many guys there's a Western Kentucky kid. There's a lot of receivers out there that you can pick in the middle, second or third round, especially like I said. That's the cool thing about what the Rams can do here because they have those extra picks this year because of the compensatory picks. All right, let's keep going, Gilbert. I
Mm-hmm.
want to go through these real
Yep.
fast. James Wheelock, offensive lineman, or the Georgia Tech tight end. They have enough receivers, so he's with drafting a offensive lineman, or if Brock Bowers is there, that's who you go with. He also said maybe Chop Robinson in the second round. Like it's amazing just seeing Ram fans like they've all come together, and it seems like their
Yeah.
guy is Chop Robinson, and I'm like, am I missing something here? But there must be somewhere where there's a like a Chop Robinson fan page from Rams because I've
Yeah.
been seeing Chop Robinson everywhere now. That's who they want. That's who a lot of the Ram fans want.
Yeah, I had to start paying attention or do my research on Chop because I kind of ignored him as a second tier guy because obviously the Dallas Turner, Latu from UCLA, and then Jared Verse was kind of viewed as the big three. And then I don't know where Chop Robinson got some steam there. So, James might be honest something. Maybe it's a lot of smokescreen hype for him as a first round prospect, and he's there at second. Second would be a big steal for the Rams to get edge rusher. Maybe you address tackle in the first round, and you get an edge rusher like that might be the way to go, like edge rusher and a tackle. But you never know. Maybe they'll get intrigued by a Brock Bowers because the more I think about that one, the more I like. Yeah, you don't really need a wide receiver, but he'll be nice to have, and he would fill a need for the future at tight end.
Yeah. Delbert Salgado says to trade up means a player they cover would be there. They covered would be there. Are many talented players on both side of the ball. Priority to Shula's scheme. Special teams must improve. So he's right on that as well, Gilbert. I would
Yeah.
you know.
Should we answer the question yet that we got over email or not yet on the special teams?
Yeah, I want to get through these real
Okay,
quick. Yeah,
then
Manuel
I'll
Correa.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna just say we'll leave special teams for that in a bit, and then we'll
Yep.
answer that.
Yep. Yeah, and then Manuel Correa, no, they're trading back. So he believes they're going to trade back. It says
Hmm.
they'll never draft the tackle in the first round. We'll see.
I don't know.
Well, yeah,
Times have changed. The last couple of months, man, they
yeah.
really changed my thinking on how they view offensive linemen.
And he really likes. He says Colby is a killer. He's talking about Colby Parkinson. He also likes Mitchell from Georgia. Will be there as well. James says Brock Bowers can play wide receiver too. It says okay, Joaquin Quijada says first round in the Sean McVay
Yeah.
era. I doubt he's going defensive. What do you guys think? So
He's been waiting all these years, but
yeah,
there's just I'm sure Sean knows there's a lot more needs on defense. There's no Aaron Donald to lean on. You're a reliable defensive coordinator. Raheem Morris is not there anymore. Like this is a year to really add talent just to make sure things are okay in a kind of a transition year. So I'm sure Sean will be okay with some defense.
yeah. And then Joaquin Quijada again says E. Cooper at linebacker from South Carolina. I think would
Ah,
be a good second round to complement Jones. Yeah, like the other thing, Gilbert, we haven't heard. Les Need was asked about getting a contract extension done with Ernest Jones. They said that they want to see what he can do for a second year in a row. It doesn't look good for Ernest Jones. I mean, for me,
yeah.
he's a leader. He's someone that you should try to extend already. But I'm with Joaquin here. You have to get another
Yeah.
linebacker in this draft.
Yeah, I get what Lesting is doing. It's like his rookie year, like he stepped up in the biggest game of the year, right? The Super Bowl, but it was still
Yeah,
kind of a quiet rookie year. His second year, he took his back seat to Bobby Wagner, and then he really flourished, in his third year. But then it's kind of like if you're listening, you're thinking like, how much was that because of Aaron Donald doing most of the work, and you're kind of just the guy who cleans it up a little bit. So I can see him,
yeah,
keeping him
true.
motivated. Why not? So I like that from Les Snead. And maybe it becomes a monster year for Ernest Jones, and then it kind of hurts him because then you have to pay the guy.
Yeah, that's the risk you're taking. And then one of the things I loved about last year with him was when they sent him on a blitz, he got to the quarterback. I don't think there was one time where he didn't blitz and he didn't get to the
Mm.
quarterback. So that was something that I really like. We'll see how Chris Shula uses him in this scheme. And if we see Shula be more aggressive defensively, which is something that Ram fans have been asking for a while now. Back to Manuel Correa, he says, "What do you guys think about my guy Jonah Ellis? Utah edge in the second round. Round spot brought him in. So
Okay,
there you
see,
go. So
there's
they
some
did
visits.
bring in,
Some visits there under the radar, and like we mentioned last week on the defensive show, like I definitely think edge rusher should be a priority. You know, it's tough to tell, like because then if it's the second round, that means what did they get in the first round? Maybe they got a defensive tackle, maybe
yeah,
they got a wide receiver like with over Brock Bowers. So for sure, you need an edge rusher, and I'll say this to kind of give you like an answer. You know, they got to get an edge rusher either the first round or second round. That's probably the biggest priority because I like Byron Young, but like he can't be just alone. I don't know how Michael. I feel like I mentioned Michael Hoy feels more like a rotational guy.
hmm,
You don't have Aaron Donald to lean on, so edge rusher is a big priority. And if they like Jonah Ellis, second round is not a bad place to get an edge rusher either. And uh, I was looking quickly, Victor, at the 2020 and 2021 draft classes in the first round for edge rushers. It's not pretty. It's like Micah
yeah,
Parsons, and like he was actually a linebacker, so he wasn't really technically an edge rusher in that 2021 draft. But like 2020, I was looking to see who's gotten paid, and there was the two edge rushers that went was Chase Young, and I want to say I don't want to butcher his name. Is it Kayvon?
yes,
He
I
was
know who you're talking.
from
Chase,
Chasen, yeah, Chasen
yeah,
LSU, who's
yeah.
now on his second team. So that didn't go
Wasn't he
too well.
from Utah as well? Talking about Utah, he was a linebacker from Utah,
Oh, that
or
was that was Devin Lloyd, but the
Devin Lloyd. Yeah,
edge
Devin Lloyd.
rusher
You're
was from
right.
LSU. And
LSU.
then
You're right.
21, there's also Jalen Phillips was pretty good. It took him a while, but
Yeah.
he's pretty good. And then if you look at the 2021 draft, there was like 4 or 5 edge rushers that went off the board quickly, and you probably don't even know who these guys are. Like it was kind of rough. So it's hard to find good edge rushers. So
Yeah.
maybe the Rams know what they're doing there. In the second round, maybe it's okay to go because first round hasn't been too nice the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, you just never know. I mean, just because you had guys around you who made you look better, that's the other thing. That's where scouting comes in. I mean, you have a guy like TJ Watt. He wasn't a big guy coming out of college, like a big, he
Yeah,
wasn't
he
gonna.
he wasn't even a top 10 draft
y-
pick.
Yeah, and like I even go back to that draft, with Jadavion Clowney. His thing was that he had a great hit at a Senior Bowl or
Yeah,
at one of his bowl games, and then that shot him up. And Khalil Mack ended up being the better of
yeah,
the two, and you just never know. And sometimes drafting guys who are not at a big school like a Utah. I mean, I'm not saying Utah isn't a big school, but they're guys that you don't hear about, and those are the guys that end up making it. We just talked about. I mean, Puka Nakua is a prime example. I mean, the guys get overlooked all the time.
yeah.
That's where your scouting comes in. Here we go. Joaquin Quijada says, "Will the Rams draft a running back given Kyron Williams' injury history and being something last season at that position?"
Yeah,
We
running
have
back is
another question,
a
so
running back.
let's save
Yeah,
this
go ahead.
one. Yeah, let's
Okay.
save this one because we'll get to it, Joaquin. We got an email and we kind of want to spend a little bit of time with it, so we'll answer the question there. All right, here we
Yeah.
go again with Joaquin. He says, "Same with Cup and injuries. I see McVay salivating over a wide receiver in this cast, especially finding Cooper in the fifth. I can imagine what we find in the first. I mean, he's got a point there.
Yeah, I can't remember what the story is, and I'm not sure anybody has ever confirmed it, but somebody fell in love with Tutu Atwell. I don't know if it's Les Need or it's Sean McVay, but what I've heard is like there was like a split there or something. It wasn't so if Sean McVay is the one that wants a burner and he wants a wide receiver, then maybe he does go for a first round pick wide receiver. I don't know, but the Tutu Atwell experience did not work out. I think I'm ready to say that. Maybe some people want to give him his fourth year. I think I've seen enough. So, if,
Yeah, and I think it's less need because if you go
mm,
back, the was it Tavon Austin? He's a little another
yeah, you're
one
right.
he
Yeah.
missed. So
It,
yeah, if I'm
so,
less need, I stay away from those
so
burners.
maybe listen to McVay and
Yeah,
then just say
exactly what Joaquin said. Listen
don't
to
go for
McVay.
the burner. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
there
right.
you
You're right.
go. Yeah. All right. One more here from Joaquin. It'd be great to have a top left tackle prospect. Pace and Whitmer are a far few between, but maybe if we get lucky, they pan out as good as those two, especially if we find a future left tackle and
Yeah,
quarterback long shot. So there's also that.
some good history right there. So
Yeah.
go get the
Well,
tackle. Why not?
he also missed on Robinson. Remember Robinson? He was a number 2 pick with the St. Louis Rams.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wasn't that the
Yeah.
same year they drafted Aaron Donald too? I forget.
It could have been. I need to go back, but I know they drafted Robinson in
Yeah,
the first. I think it
I'll
was like
check real
number
quick.
2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was like number
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah, and then Manuel Correa says, "What do you think about Maris Liafu, linebacker from Notre Dame?"
Man, did he miss our defensive show last week, Manuel?
Yeah.
We were trying to do offense here, but
Yeah.
I think you're in the right spot, Manuel. Like Victor said, you got to prioritize
Defense.
linebacker. Like
Yeah.
you know, even if he works out Ernest Jones, like it's coming back. It's making a comeback that linebackers. We saw what the Bears did, paying 2 linebackers, and it paid off pretty well. You got the obviously the Ravens, you got the 49ers, and then also you need security in case Ernest Jones does too well and you can't pay him, or
Yep.
Ernest Jones, maybe doesn't do too well. And so, so maybe sometimes linebackers do well, special teams too. So I
We
get to
got our
thinking here.
We got our answer. Dever Salgado.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
Robinson was first and AD was picked. So he gets 50-50 there for those picks. So there you go
Yeah.
for
Save me the time of looking. Thank you, Delbert.
yeah, less need. Manuel says, do you guys like Ricky Parcel from Florida? I'll be honest, I have not seen Ricky Parcel from Florida. So I mean, I'll be completely honest.
Yeah.
I probably need to go do my homework. And if he gets drafted, I'm gonna give you credit, Manuel. So
I
there you
remember
go.
the name. Yeah, Ricky
Yeah,
Parcel.
there we go. And then Joaquin says maybe a tight end, Higby, H injuries, and we're
Yeah.
thinking there as well. So yeah, not thinking. Yeah. So I mean, if Brock Bowers is there, like I said, but if they have plenty of picks, Gilbert, I can see
Yeah.
them,
Doesn't have to be in the first round to get a
yeah,
tight end.
exactly. All right. I wanted to get to these. We had some questions on here that we got an email because we usually don't get emails, and it's been awesome to see. So first of all, let me give a shout out to Dan Ortiz. He sent us an email. You forwarded to me, which was awesome to see. And he asked, uh, here, let me put it on here. Let's see how big it is. There we go. It says, with the new kickoff rules, do you think the Rams should target a running back and wide receiver with return experience? I like running back Tyrone
Mm.
Tracy from Purdue in the later rounds, gives depth
This
in the quarterback room, and upgrade with the current returner thoughts. So there you go, Gilbert. Go ahead and
I was gonna just say that credit to you because you've been saying that maybe it's not just wide receiver, running backs could be in these new rules. And look at our guy Dan over here thinking about running backs too. So what do you say
yes.
about that running back?
Yeah, no, I'm with him. I mean, you need to. One of the things that I saw from the UFL, the USFL with the new kicking rule, which is what the NFL is taking, taking from, is if you can juke, now that you have all that distance, because the ball is going to be kicked to you, you have more room to be able to put on a move, be able to juke somebody.
Yeah.
So for me, if I'm looking for a kick returner, I don't want a receiver. I want a running back out back there. So shout out to Dan because I'm in the same. You have someone like Tyrone Tracy would be perfect because you need somebody who can juke somebody in the backfield when you're trying to return kicks now.
Yeah, because and I guess the usual rules, like they're coming at you, they're charging, so you got to be a burner to get away from the crowd. now you kind of have some space to work with. So you're probably on to something here with the Juki, and obviously when you're a running back, you hit the hole, you got to be shifty, you got to go break a tackle here, go over there. You just don't know how it's gonna play out for you. So you have better instincts. You know how to find the crease, find the hole, and get it going. And when you're a wide receiver, it's kind of like, all right, you're going that way, I'm going this way, you won't catch me. So
Yep.
I guess the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. And from watching those XFL experiences, it was a good amount of space there, and we'll see if it helps the game because less collision, less injuries, but more space to operate. It could help out, and also for the Rams, like they do need a backup for Kyron Williams. You kind of kill two birds with one stone. You get your returner, or maybe even three. You get maybe a reliable guy for all kind of special teams to help you out, and you get somebody to help out Kyron Williams. So I haven't done too much research on the running backs because you think about Blake Corum, the obvious thing from Michigan. I'm blanking on the guy from Texas, and
Yes.
after that, it's like a big drop off.
Well,
So
yeah, I know there's a lot, and he gave us a great name there to keep in mind.
yeah,
With
Purdue,
with Purdue, yeah, with Tyrone Tracy. So, I mean, yeah, you try to look for a running back, and then that's the thing that I kind of dislike about the devaluing of the running back position, especially in the draft, is that you're having to look for some of these running backs, and in the later rounds, and to the comment here from James, it says maybe a running back in the third and the fourth round. That's a perfect opportunity to take one. I think you're going to see them take one either in the third, fourth, or fifth round,
yeah,
especially when you have a the all I keep going, I keep saying compensatory picks, but those are really big. We've
yeah,
seen the 49ers. The reason I keep bringing them up and why they're important is because the 49ers have been able to stack their roster with compensatory picks. They keep losing guys and they keep replacing them with guys that they draft with their compensatory picks.
yeah. First of all, thank you for that nice comment, Joaquin. We really appreciate that. Even on
Yeah.
our off day with the technical difficulties, we really appreciate that, and good to see that you're enjoying the content. And then James, I think you're onto something because I think that wave of running backs in the draft might start in the third or fourth round because you know obviously they kind of got devalued the running backs and a good amount got paid. So the teams that needed running backs already took care of
Yeah.
that, and you don't really, I don't, not too many running backs go in the second round. There's not a first round talent this year. It might be one or two that go in the second round, but then that way is going to hit in the third round. And if you're the Rams, you better be ready for the one you want and pick them in the third round.
And this is a guy that Manuel, if you've been with us, this is a guy for the last 4 weeks, the last four episodes we've had, people have brought up his name,
Yeah.
Drake Estemy from Notre Dame. He says 5'11", 220 pounds, Thunder and Lightning Williams' teammate at Notre Dame, and this is a name too that the Ram fans keep bringing up, whether it's Chop Robinson, and then this is the running back that we keep seeing. So I'm gonna give credit to Ram fans if these names keep coming up because this is a name that
Yeah.
keeps coming up. And then we have one more here from Manuel. He says the Quan Hardy, Penn State cornerback, returns kicks, ran a 4.39 at the combine. So
Mm,
as we said, we'll see.
burner.
We'll see if they, that's the other thing. As long as he's not a first round pick, stay away.
I don't
Unless
know how I
if
feel about corner doing the kick return because you better have some good hands. But it's
yeah,
been done many times. But
yes.
I don't. I'd rather have a wide receiver who has better hands. But I don't know.
Yeah, so and then James Wheeler says, get your kicker from the XFL. Yes. So
Hmm.
remember the guy I told you that hit a 64 yarder? He came back the next week and hit a 63 yarders.
Oh wow.
I'm with James. Go get that XFL kicker. Especially if he's hitting from that long
Yeah,
of a
that's
distance.
still a need. So definitely do that.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't hurt to bring them in. You never know. We saw them bring in a bunch of kickers, and at the end, they didn't like them, so they had to go with the guy. And then Joaquin is back. He says, "Love them, Notre Dame boys." So, yep. I mean, we've seen them do well with Georgia guys and Notre Dame guys on the Rams
Man,
roster.
Dan, Manuel, Joaquin, and James make me want to like step up my game to go deep into the draft. So I want to say when we come back in 2 weeks for the full preview, I'm gonna give you like my best, the guys that I like in the fifth, sixth, seventh round. How about that? I'll give you my guys they should target because
Yeah, and I'm
these guys
with
are all
them.
locked in.
Yeah, they are, man. Like there's some names. Like every time. I'll be either doing some research, and there's players that it's hard. Like this is why I give Mel Kiper Jr. Whatever you want to say about him in terms of, maybe he's gotten 50% of his picks right, but one thing is that guy knows every player and he
Yeah.
knows a story about them. And honestly, for him to do like his memory bank is amazing, and that's why like I give him credit because it's hard. But let me read this comment before I get your thoughts.
Hmm.
It says kickoff return schemes are going to be an adventure with the new rule. Does this mean goodbye to Trammell? Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, most likely. So
Yes.
they needed upgrades on special teams anyway. So
Yes.
now you gotta address it anyways, but now you gotta adjust to the new rules, so that's kind of an issue there. And real quick, you gave a shout out, uh, Dane Burglar. Like I kind of get into the
Yes.
late round of the draft when the beast comes out because it's all ready for you, and I
Yes.
love it. And I hate that I have to wait so long, but I get why he waits because you want to make sure everything's correct and going. So I started looking at the beast for the first time today, so I will definitely do a deep dive and kind of get more on the back end. So I
Yes.
love that, and then definitely, yeah, you gotta address special teams regardless of the new rules. Like, who cares about that? Because there was a whole lot of issues in all
Yes.
phases of special teams. So anybody who was playing special teams like in a prominent role last year, you might not have that job anymore because
No.
that wasn't good. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely go away with some people
I'll
and adjust.
I'll say this. I'm a little surprised they haven't brought in special team aces, but I think they might have been waiting because
Yeah.
they knew the new rule was coming in. So that might kind of that was probably a reason why they haven't gone, because I saw three or four guys. There was a guy from the Ravens, there was a guy from the Texans who signed right away. They were special team aces, but then with the new rules, I think it was kind of smart of the Rams to kind of wait and see if they can
Mm.
drop some guys. And
They re-signed Troy Reader today. Maybe that's a
yeah,
special teams guy. No.
yeah, and Rosenboom, the
Yeah.
linebacker. So
Yeah.
he's another special teams guy. But you want to upgrade. But
Yeah.
maybe it
Definitely.
was because they were playing them, you know, out of need at
Yeah.
linebacker.
Yeah.
So, and then Manuel, he gives us another name here. He says Malik Washington, Virginia receiver. He returns kicks as well. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, my thing is I would go like, as Delver said, I think the kickoff return schemes are going to be are going to be a bit of an adventure, but I've heard people talking about this and about the running back. I think you'll start seeing more running backs just because of the new rules. And then Joaquin is giving us another name. He says Bordellini. It says in the fifth or sixth round would add that. So he's a tackle. So there's a lot of guys to get into. It's like I said,
Yeah.
there's so many names out there. Keep giving us names. We'll come back, and if you guys get any of these, we'll bring it up and we'll give you guys credit. Here's another one from Joaquin. It says Will Rashard to finally address a situation that cost us game last season. Draft a kicker. What do you think about drafting a kicker, Gilbert?
If this happened last year when there was like no expectations and people are like, let's just kind of see what happens with this year. Go ahead and draft that kicker. Now there's really high expectations and there's going to be pressure games, pressure moments, and I don't like that for teams that have Super Bowl aspirations or aspirations to go far in the playoffs. So it's just not my thing. It wasn't the worst thing for the 49ers last year with Jake Moody. He made some clutch kicks in Super Bowl. Actually, I give him credit for that. They didn't win the game, but he made a bunch of kicks in that moment. So you just never know who's going to pan out. But kickers, they just need a lot of experience, and I get they got to start somewhere, but maybe do it on a shaky team, not
Yeah,
one with some big goals.
I was surprised. Kickers, outside of running backs, I was really surprised kickers got paid. Like I don't know if you saw, but like they went fast. I mean, a lo- you know the teams that had free agent kickers, they all pretty much resigned or they went after and paid the money to go get a kicker. So I mean, I don't blame the Rams for not paying for one,
Yeah,
but at the same time, you need one, especially when you have this good of an offense because you're gonna you know one thing I can tell you for sure, Gilbert, about the Rams next season is they're gonna try to outscore their opponents, especially with Aaron Donald retiring. I mean, they're not. They're. It's gonna be hard to. We don't know what to expect from the defense.
yeah.
That's one thing I know for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because, like you mentioned, no Aaron Donald is, no Raheem Morris. Do you try to run up the score? Things like that. Maybe you're too worried about the kicker. Like I'm not even sure who the kicker is right now, but you definitely got to address it somehow, and it could be through the draft. Like don't do it like in the third or fourth round. Maybe you find like a guy you want to take a chance on in the sixth, fifth round. Fifth's kind of high, maybe six.
I rather take a chance on that XFL kicker, right now. Like I rather
Yeah.
go and get that
Can you
than
sign somebody during the season like XFL? I doubt it, but
and that's the thing I've seen where the I'm trying to think of the quarterback. But he asked for his release because he wanted to go play in the UFL, and
oh yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah,
blanking too.
yeah, I'm
But
blanking on his name, but yeah, I mean, there's guys that's what they wanted. So you have to wait till the UFL season before you can
is it
sign
AJ McCarron? I think
AJ
again.
McCarron. Yep, yep. There you go. Here's more names from Manuel Correa. He says Brandon Coleman, TCU tackle, Steve Avila's teammate. So another guy to keep in mind. And then Delver says bringing in 90 guys to camp like last year and competitive will sort them out. Smart football players and will win every time. And one of the things about that, Gilbert, is we saw Puka Nakua. I mean, you can tell when a guy has it. It doesn't matter where you're drafted. If you're good, they're gonna find you.
Yeah, and I think Sean McVay has a type for wide receivers. The more you could do, the better. And like I mentioned with Brock Barrows, he's interesting because he does a lot of things. I know like blocking is not his thing, but he does a lot. And Puka Nakua was an excellent blocker. People got on him for his speed, but he was a very good route runner. So, look for that when you're trying to look for a trend. What are they trying to go for? I guess Snead is a burner guy, right? But and
Yeah.
McVay's a do it all kind of guy.
Yeah, especially if you can block, that's huge. And so, if you can find some receivers that can block, especially in this 11 personnel, that's the kind of guy. I don't think, they try. I'm now that you kind of got it in my head about the Tutu Adwell and whose pick that was because it was a burner. I'm starting to think that was a less neat pick, and so I keep going back to that. So you're right on. He says McLaughlin from Arkansas,
Mm,
cornerback depth. So
what
there's
a
another
name,
guy. Yeah.
Mc,
McLaughlin. I like
McGlow
that.
Torn. Yeah,
McLaughlin. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, last one, Gilbert, and I kind of wanted to pay off because we had technical difficulty, so I was trying to get you out of here be in an hour, but we went a little long today, and that's okay. We got a lot of people in the comments, which we love, so I'll never apologize for that because I love this is what this show is about is you guys giving us your we want your feedback. We want you guys to you know uh talk to us. That's what it's all about.
Mhm.
I'll get to Manuel's comment there, but let me get to this one because he wrote in this. And this is from Pio Time Rams YT says, "What round do you predict the Rams will draft the token McVay running back, or is this the first round McVay and Steve don't draft a running back?"
Yeah, I think I saw a couple years ago, was it Jake Funk that they took, like,
Yes,
in the
Jake Funk, and he made
yeah,
the roster. Remember, he was there
yeah,
for a year.
yeah. Was there one drafted well, obviously, Kyren
Kyron
Williams was the
Williams,
year after that, but what
yeah.
about last year? Am I blanking
Cam,
now?
you had
Oh, yeah,
Cam
yeah.
Akers.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Cam Akers, and the one last year, he didn't play too much, but I forget his name.
Yes, the kid. Yes, I know who you. Oh man, now it's bugging me.
Yeah.
I hate. This is why I give Mel Kiper Jr. his props because as I'm getting older, my memory starts to fade me
Yeah, but
here.
there
Like
was one there was one last year, so I guess the trend it's at least we just said, like, 4 or 5 names, so yeah, and they do still need a backup running back, and they'll like you mentioned with the new kick returner rule. So I say the streak continues. Well, I gotta look into how far the streak goes now. So I mentioned
yeah,
Jake Funk, you mentioned Cam Akers, you mentioned Kyron Williams. I'm blanking on the guy from last year, but that's 4 or 5 years already.
yeah.
There
Sack
you go.
something, Stevan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
See,
Yeah,
we're
we
all
know
in the same page here.
Zach Brown. I don't remember.
Stevan says, by the way, what's up, guys?
What's up, Steve?
Yeah, he's the Sack wants me to, if when we give away the jersey, if he gets it, he wants to give it to me because he wants me wearing a jersey. So a
You might have
Puka
to
Nakua jersey.
get the Zach
Yeah,
something jersey too while you're at it.
yes, yes. Um, but Manuel says he just subscribed. So awesome. We
Hey,
love
thank you.
Thank you. That'll get us closer to 1,000 subscribers. And then here's his question, Gilbert. It says, "What do you think about tight end Jared Wiley, TCU 6'7", 245?" I think they're pretty. I think they're pretty much set in terms of a blocking tight end, but I guess you can never have enough blocking tight ends. I just the like I kind of like what I would be looking for. You also have like Davis Allen, so it wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, having tight ends, you can use them everywhere, especially you can move them around in the 11 personnel. But I just
Yeah,
outside of Brock Bowers and some other guys, and then the other thing I've learned with the 11 personnel, it's hard to pick up this offense as a tight end. We saw Davis Allen didn't play till late in the season,
yeah.
so there's also that.
Zach Evans was a running back
Zach
chose
Evans, there you go, Zach
opener for
Evans.
last year, so Steve was on it. Uh, and yeah, I think outside of Brock Bowers, I just don't know how much a priority tight end is. Like I actually like Davis Allen. He was a very good pass catcher. I don't know how much of a blocker he is. They got the guy from Seattle, Kobe Parkinson. They still got Tyler Higbee, and maybe Hunter Long stays
Long,
healthy. I don't know, but
that was such a weird thing
yeah,
with him.
with and Jalen Ramsey was a trade, but they have a committee there, and I get there they don't have a number one guy, but it's not But the more I think about it, it's like when you get a star tight end, they tend to come in these late rounds. Like George Kittle, I want to say like what was he like a fifth round pick? Travis Kelsey was like a low pick too. So the first picks don't really do too well as history says, but TJ Hawkinson was a first round pick. He did pretty well.
Yeah.
Last year was Sam Laporta was the second round pick. He did
Yeah, he
pretty
was a
well.
second round pick. I've told you about, and more people have caught on to it because I remember Fernando kept talking about Michael Mayer and how he would be a top 10 pick, and I'm like, I do not want a tight end in the top 10. You know, um, I just don't understand that. Like if you look at history, I can give you most of the tight ends that were picked in the first 10 picks. Vernon Davis, Ricky Dudley. Like I can go down the list of tight ends, and like you mentioned, Hawkinson is one rare one, but I don't think he was a top 10, was he?
Yeah,
Not
he
that I
was.
can.
Yeah, he was top 10, but I want to say it took him about 2 to 3 years to really get going, though. That's why the
Yeah.
Lions traded him, right?
Yeah. And then you got George Kittle, six. I mean, all the good ones, I mean, Travis Kelsey, they were all late round picks. I mean, that's why I just wouldn't now Brock Bowers, if he falls to you at 19, that's a different we're talking about it. But a top you
Yeah,
just don't
yeah,
draft a tight end in the top 10. It's just a
yeah.
drafted
Like
pick to
Kyle
me.
Pitts was number 4, and I don't think he's
Kyle
all
picks. I
there.
mean, I like I said, I can keep going. Like
Yeah,
that was one of my
OJ
things.
Howard was another
OJ
one.
Howard was another one. Yeah, there's a lot here. Let me just go through these. We have a lot of comments here. Isaiah Davis, South Dakota State. He says he's kind of like Ray Rice, Priest Home. Like Priest Holmes he was nice, man.
Yeah,
I
let's
yeah.
go with the latter here for Priest Holmes. Avoid
Yeah.
Ray Rice comparisons.
Yeah. He was good though. I mean, coming out of
Yeah, yeah,
Rutgers
yeah. He had some good years.
before what
Yeah,
happened
I
with him.
remember his 4th and 26 conversion against the Chargers, like his rookie or second year.
Yeah. Manuel Carrera says he's a pass catching tight end, not known for blocking. So, I mean, that's also the thing. You've already got Kobe Parkinson, and then you have Davis Allen. So, like I said, I would go for if Brock Bowers is there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then Steve Vaughn, he's joining us after he says, "Sorry, missed the beginning of the show. Was busy trashing all the Otani haters on
Oh,
Twitter."
nice. Yeah,
So there
good.
we go. By the way, like all the people who were saying that there was Otani definitely knew what was going on with his back account. It's starting to sound like no. We know now that that wasn't the case. So there you go,
Yeah,
Gilbert.
but he still kind of looks bad. Like, are you really that dumb to let your interpreter have all this access? But yeah.
Yeah, that is true as
And
well.
Steve, good thing you jumped on late because we had some issues early,
Yeah,
technical difficulties. So
yeah. There. If you
good
see
timing.
the other video, we had
Yeah.
technical difficulties around the
Good
16
timing,
minute
Steve.
mark.
You got it.
Yeah,
And it's funny because Victor, like this is the first time I always been hesitant to promote when we go live on
yeah.
the on a community section because I'm like something could happen. I don't want to tell people we're gonna jump on and then we don't. And the
Right.
first time that I do it, it happens to us where
Yeah,
we
that's the
have
first
issues.
time. I mean, that's the first time it's happened
Like
to us.
yeah,
So I
like I
mean,
want to promote the show more often. Like, hey, we're gonna come on Thursday or Wednesday. Stay
right.
tuned. But I think I jinxed it.
Yeah, I mean it happens, man. Like that's part of live stream. It happens. Sometimes it's technology, man. You're not always gonna get it right. A Wi-Fi goes down, laptop messes up,
Oh man,
desktop. You just never know, honestly.
I'm
So
fed up with technology.
I'm glad we it happened during the off season because
Yeah,
during we need to be on top of it during the season. So it happened right now. We'll deal with it. Joaquin says Dominic Puni tackle from Kansas in the later rounds. So that's
Y-
another,
you
and
guys are
he's a
just showing off now. I feel
yeah,
like
I know, man.
Manuel and
They're just
Joaquin are just
like,
dropping all these
yeah,
names
all
down.
these names. Now I got to write all these names down and make sure I give credit later on. But I'm glad to do it,
Oh,
honestly.
Joaquin's a Giants
Yeah,
fan
he's a
though.
Giants
Oh,
fan. It's all love, man. It's okay. I mean,
oh, sorry.
you see all my Dodger stuff up there, but I'll say this. And what was the AEW wrestler that you guys interviewed
Oh
at?
yeah, I'm blanking, but he's a big Giants fan. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big Giants fan, and I told him, I said, I'll say one nice thing about you guys is that you guys have one of the best stadiums I've ever been to. I don't know what it is now. It used to be AT&T Park. I'm guessing it is whatever the Chase. I
Yeah, it's
think
like
it's
Chase.
Chase
Yeah,
Chase
because I
Park.
remember, don't they have like a Chase Arena and now they have a Chase
Yes,
Park?
Park. Yeah,
Mm.
but it's a beautiful ballpark, and those garlic fries are really good. So I'll say something nice. So.
Good beer
Uh,
out there too.
Yeah, what are we doing? Deborah wants to know where you guys watching the draft and how many rounds will you watch? Well, Gilbert is that's his job. He works for Sports Illustrated, so he's a staff writer there. So he'll be covering the draft. But where will you be watching it from, Gilbert?
Most likely from home. I don't know how much work they're gonna throw at me. Like usually, I remember last year was just a lot of work. I couldn't do much, but this year's a little unique, and yeah, I don't know if I shared too much to you behind the scenes, Victor, but it's
Yeah.
unique. So maybe I don't know. Maybe you could have like a live stream for a little bit, but it'd be nice to do something, especially the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have something. It all depends on how busy you're gonna be, but if you're not, we'll like for you guys to join us. Everybody, Manuel, Joaquin, Delbert, everybody. Let me go. Let's see if I miss
All right.
James. Everybody.
I think
Yeah,
Manuel's having fun with us now. Cody Rhodes is a wrestler, not a football player.
yeah. Cody Rose. There you go. Cody Rose is the man.
Cody Rhodes in the seventh round.
Yeah, in the seventh round. He's giving us more names. I'm sure there is a
Yeah,
Cody Rhodes in the draft.
yeah. You never
Yeah,
know.
you never know. And then Joaquin says, just names to look and listen out for. Appreciate the intake of the info. Of course, man. That's what we're here for, Joaquin. We want to make this an interactive. Well, this is why we did it. Gilbert was, he was the beat reporter for the Rams for the OC Register Southern California News Group, and then he wanted to start a YouTube channel on the Rams, and then so he asked me to come and join him, which is what we're doing. This is our third year now or second year.
This is the start of our third year. Yes.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is our
Yeah.
start of our
Wow.
third year covering the Rams, and slowly but surely we're building a little community. So that's something that we've been working on, and that's why we love interacting. As I've told you guys the story with Steve. Steve wants me to wear a Puka Nakua jersey if he wins the jersey. So I'm more than happy to wear any gear. Like I keep asking Gilbert about we were doing stuff with Amish. I'm like, hey, have you hit up Amish? See if I can get some Rams gear. Like they gave us some cool
Yeah.
shirts, a couple years ago. So we'll see if maybe they can get hook us up again. And then Manuel is just showing up. He says he went to WrestleMania.
Oh, nice. In Philadelphia, I was in Philly for a bit too last week, so it's pretty cool. I'm glad you got to check out WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, so yeah, you guys have some great interviews. If you have a chance, Manuel, make sure you subscribe to the main channel, which is Compas on the Beat. That's we do wrestling as well.
Yeah.
Fernando and Gilbert, they're gonna probably start doing a weekly show that's focused on wrestling. So look out for
Yeah.
that.
Check out our Kevin Owens interview that we did on Compas on the Beat, not com Compas on the Beat YouTube. And Kevin Owens one's pretty interesting because it's like his live reaction to AJ Styles and LA Knight having a little scuffle in front of the
Yeah,
media.
that one blew up. I mean, that was crazy, especially getting his reaction and then the fight. I've been seeing all the comments. It's been kind of hilarious seeing people react to it. And then Steve says, "I would get you guys Rams gear now if you weren't so scared. I'd be stalking you. You have look. I'll post this.
Yeah.
You
Put your
can
email out there,
here,
Victor.
here we go. You can. This is where I'm at, Steve. I'm at Victor at compasonthebeat.com. If you want to send me anything, and we even have a PO box. So go ahead and drop. And like I said, I'm more than welcome to wear Rams gear. I don't, I'm okay with it.
No pressure though, Steve.
Yeah, Gilbert. On the other hand, he works for Sports Illustrated. He's a reporter. I
Gotta be
am not.
neutral.
I am a producer, so I am more than happy. As you can see, I wear the Compas on the Beat hat. So I'm more than happy to wear some Rams gear, especially here on House of Horns. I'm good with it. So we even had, Evan Holtz, one of our subscribers. He's been reaching out to us. We love the feedback. Email
Yeah.
us, and so that's
Yeah.
awesome just to see.
Yeah. Any
So
questions or you just want to chat Rams, send Victor an email, that's for sure.
he said he wants a PO box, Gilbert.
I have it some if you go to compasonthebeat.com and scroll to the bottom, the address is right there.
There you
And then
go.
subscribe to the newsletter while you're at it, Steve. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
there
got
you
it
go,
if you've done it
Steve.
yet.
I wrote a couple. I wrote something on Aaron Donald, so and how he's kind of changed the game for defensive tackles. So and I'll be writing more and more stuff if you guys are interested in more Ram stuff. So um and then we have it was really fun. It says from Manuel, and then Manuel says the bomb. So
Yeah,
there
definitely.
we go.
I'm glad I
All
got
right.
to hang out.
All right, Gilbert. So we made up for the technical difficulties. If
Yeah.
you, like I said, thank you guys for staying with us. We really appreciate it. Like I said, it happens sometimes. It's gonna happen. So we really appreciate you guys, everybody that stuck around. Our new subscriber, Manuel Correa, awesome. Gilbert, it's been almost an hour and 20 minutes. To the
Yeah.
people who are listening in the audio, we really appreciate you guys. We appreciate everybody who's stayed with us. But I can't wait for the draft, and thank you, Manuel. Thanks. Have a
Yeah.
night. And one more thing from Joaquin, I want to make sure I get it in. Take a look at this kid, Mohammed Kamara, Colorado State. So there you go, another guy to put in the list there, Gilbert. Let me
Yeah,
take this off.
for sure. I gotta keep track of all these names and check it out. And but again, thank you for the patience from earlier. I think I want to say Manuel was on the original live and he
Yes.
moved over to the second. So shout out to you. So we appreciate the patience, and it's pretty cool because you think you lose the first live stream. Oh, no one's gonna jump in the second one. They're all gonna give up on us, and you see a lot of comments pop in for the second one. So we really appreciate that. It made it worth the trouble. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then Delver says, "Love or hate him, OJ passed today." Yep, we're
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is tough. I mean, you want to say some good things, but then there's
yeah, it
also the
does.
negative stuff. So it's kind of like, do you bring it up? And I understand, however you feel about it. On the field, he was great. Off the field, if you have sometimes, here's one more from Manuel David. I'm not even OG Woobu Houston
Yeah,
Edge. So there you go. There's another one,
there you
Gilbert.
go.
But go ahead and close us out. As we talked about when we started the other show before we got our technical difficulties, the second week, as you said, before the draft is the one where it's just really weird. It's weirdo time. It's lying season. Next week is when things ramp up. You
Hmm.
start seeing teams get ready for the draft. That's the one where I kind of get pumped for it. And then the other thing, Gilbert, I'll say is I know it's a terrible movie, but I like going and watching Draft Day with Kevin Costner. It's a terrible movie. It
Yeah.
like none of that. Like even Tom Telesco has come out and said, yeah, a GM would never do that. But I kind of like the kind of watch it just to get ready. It kind of gets me in draft mode. So I'm excited for this draft,
Yeah.
especially for the Rams. They have a lot of players, and we've gotten a lot of names that we need to keep an eye on, which I need to write down. I will put it on Google Docs, and I'll give credit if any of those guys get drafted by the Rams.
Yeah, and in terms of the draft day movie, I didn't really give it a full watch until last
It's
year.
on
Like,
Peacock, so
yeah, like I always watch clips of it. I'm like, I don't need to watch the full thing. And I finally gave it a full watch last year before the draft, actually. And then I'm like, it's not that bad, but I don't know if I'll watch it again. Like, I don't know if it'll
yeah.
become an annual thing for me. But hey, Manuel likes it. It's a good movie, he says. So maybe I'll watch it one more time. But I'm not one of those people that likes to rewatch movies. It has to be like 3, 4, 5 years of me not watching it.
Okay.
Like I honestly watched the original Ghostbusters on my plane from Philly for the first time in a long time. And that's like, okay, this is where I feel like I forgot what I saw. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's not for everybody, but like I said, there it has its moments, and Kevin Costner. I mean, he's probably the goat when it comes to sports movies. I mean, he's been in every sports movie you can think of. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's not much more I can say, but yeah, I'm excited for this draft. It's gonna be it's loaded with receivers, it's loaded with tackles, and so and the Rams need edge rushers, they need defensive tackles. So we'll see what they do, but we'll keep you guys. We'll let you know when we'll do the next show. For sure, we're not doing one next week
Two
because
weeks.
it's in 2 weeks we'll be back. So we got a lot going on with Compas on the Beat that we got to deal with, but we got UFC 300. We have a lot of stuff going on, so we want to make sure that, and it's usually dead this time of year and until that week before the draft. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, Gilbert.
Yeah. So that week of the draft, we'll do a fully loaded preview. And obviously, we'll kind of have some nightcaps for the draft days and review everything. So that week you might see us 3 to 4 times. But for next week, we're gonna kind of take a week off. I gotta focus on the Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney fight, and then other stuff
There you
for
go.
my day job. But in 2 weeks, we'll be back for the preview and then some recap too of the draft.
Yeah, and then like I said, send us questions to our email. We got to two of them. We love getting you guys involved. If you can make it on here for the live stream, just do what everybody did. I mean, go to Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com, or you can go to Victor at compasonthebeat.com. Send us an email, send us your questions, and we'll get to it, and then we'll give you guys our feedback. We'll bring it up. And Delbert says he's with you. He's got good
Yes.
boxing coming up. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with boxing as well. So during the off season on Compas on the Beat, we like to get into, because we usually during the NFL season, it's kind of hard to talk boxing and MMA. So this is the time of year for us to get into it.
Yeah, no, we're doing all. If you're new, if you're just started watching us on House of Horns, our main channel is Compas on the Beat. Subscribe to that channel too as well. And again, like I mentioned at the top of the show, go to compasonthebeat.com and find the shiny gold box, and the home screen is gonna pop up when you get to the website, and type in your email to subscribe to the newsletter. Like Victor mentioned, he's been writing a lot about the Rams. He writes about baseball too. So, this channel is all about the Rams, but we're pretty diverse when it comes to sports coverage here on the Compas on the Beat network.
Yep. All right, Gilbert, go ahead and close us out. We went a little long, but we were glad to, especially after we had the
Yeah.
technical difficulties. But we'll be back, as we said, in 2 weeks. Can't wait. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and send us our way via email, and we'll get back to you guys on the next show. But yeah, I can't wait. I mean, the draft is fast approaching, and it'll be interesting to see what the Rams do with other picks.
Yeah, and if you see people in the original live where it's cut short and they're commenting what the heck happened, direct them over here to the second live in the comments. But I'm sure there'll be some confusion when people check it out. But good to see all the comments here. But it's time to go. On that note, ya nos vamos, pues, vámonos.